and have always been prio banned ever since, such as the Yuzhong. And I think that was also highlighted in the Howl. But this is the legit countdown,
This is it. It is counting down to it. And here we go. Getting into the drafting phase of one of the most crucial games of the season. The first game of a best of 7.
I wonder what map we're gonna see for our first game. It's Expanding Rivers. All the more do you have to pay attention for the Doming double, but I think we also have to look at what hero he actually gets to pick up first. Because I think Aurora are slowly starting to change things up a bit too. It's never gonna be the Harith option for Doming unless, right? Because I don't see it banned just yet.
Unless it's like the very last phase of maybe Red 1 or Blue 3. We're not going to be sure quite yet. YSS is going to be out of the table here for Tlph. Been very happy to pick that up.
So they actually opened the Harith, which was always denied of Doming Kite for the longest time.
That's right.
But things have changed.
It feels like a trap, though. I think that's the reason why they're going to be so happy to do that.
Yeah.
At least banning out the Lancelot is pretty solid for both Demon Kite and Tlph. But what are they thinking here?
Yeah. Because I don't think we even got to see the Harith first pick anymore in the previous
absolutely
days.
not.
But this is Aurora, which is why I'm really trying to look at what the option is going to be. But instead of that,
there you go.
They go for the Fredrin first pick.
Which
and now
there it is, right? It's crazy. Now it's the Harith who is going over the Tlph, who seems to be very happy to take that very quickly, right? It didn't even take a few seconds. They locked it in right away.
Yeah.
But we're talking about that Fredrin, Brigida. We talked about how crucial that Fredrin is, especially for players like Tlph.
Yeah, the CC is also still open. If Aurora wants to consider that, it's gonna work well, especially against the Gatot Kacha. I cannot recall the amount of times I've seen a curtain call just stop an AOG from landing where it wants to land. So that could be a potential pickup for Aurora as we look at the first phase. Oh, but they go Lapu.
No CC!
Immediately.
No CC here today, Brigid. For some reason, it's open up until the very end. I feel like Sanford will be happy to take that.
Would he actually pick the CC here, though?
I don't know. It feels like a trap. Again, it's starting the mind games are starting to be very apparent here.
At least there will not be any threat of, let's say, an X board coming in, because you already see what the gold lane of Aurora is, and even the EXP laner is already revealed to us here in the draft. So they're just gonna go very tanky, and this is gonna be jungler, right?
That's gonna be jungle, yes. 100. I feel like it's 100%.
Because yesterday there was a Gatot in the EXP. But I doubt that's going to be the case for this matchup if you're up against the Lapu Lapu.
It might be a bit too slow if you go on XP Gatot, so that's my theory here. You want to be able to give that to JP, have some sense of control. JP has also been using the Gatot Kacha to block a lot of the bullets from Grangers. We've seen that yesterday, and I think we will see that here today as well.
Even when they were up against the likes of a Novaria, he's just going to be very... speaking of...
Speaking of...
they take out the Novaria immediately, but he's been very efficient, even prioritizing Twilight Armor just to make sure that he gets to tank everything for his team. And JP is really very comfortable with the Gatot Kacha, which I like, and that we're seeing right now in Liquid's lineup. But they might go heavy on the mid lane bans. You could see the Novaria already being taken out. I'm wondering if the Eve could be the next consideration if you're Liquid, because the Fredrin Eve too looks like a terrifying combo if you look at it.
I love the Eve, the thought of the Eve making an appearance here, but at the same time, we're noticing something that's not panned out here. Where's the Kimmy? Where is the Kimmy here? Where's it going to slot in? So usually that has been on the first docket here for a lot of our games.
Yeah. That's true. So the Kimmy, the Eve could be options here for Aurora, but for their last bans here, they still took out the CC. They might be limiting the Alice is still there?
That's true. The Alice is still there, somewhere lurking with that gleam. I think he's going to gleam in right in our faces anytime soon. But yeah, I feel like you also, I guess you don't want to think about the Kimmy too much because maybe it'll have a hard time against a Baksha because of the passive, right?
Yeah.
Not to mention if they build up a blade armor.
Yes, that's
So
true.
yeah, so we're looking for XP laners as well.
What?
Benedetta, that's digging deep.
I did not expect that.
I did not expect that bad too.
Oh, now they get the Never mind, Rock. They take it away.
We thought EUA would pick it up, but no, it is going to be Tlph.
They took the Harith and the Eve.
That's very solid magic damage.
Amazing. These are picks I would have thought Aurora would prioritize or get their hands on more than Liquid would, but they're all in Liquid's side now.
Yeah, Brigida, that's all magic damage though. They need a strong fighter XP lane.
So maybe
here.
that's why we won't consider the Alice, or Aurora are not considering the Alice anymore too.
I think so.
They're looking for a bit more damage to come in the EXP lane, but the Arlot's not there, the Yuzhong's not there, and even the Benedetta gets taken out from Liquid as an option. And Aurora finish up their draft with a Farsa Franco combination.
Well,
okay.
They warned us yesterday that the new stuff was going to come out. Here comes the Franco. I think that's the first Franco of the playoffs so far. And the UA back on the Farsa. And now on that last pick, we talked about some good physical damage.
Yeah.
It's not what I was thinking. It's the Terizla.
Yeah. It is physical damage, but it's not
like the big damage.
It's not the same as the Yuzhongs, as the Arlots.
It's not big damn.
But it adds up to the crowd control, to the layer of surprise that we can see from them. I mean, the real world AOG.
Yeah, the amount of catch. That's a lot of catch.
That's
right
a lot
here.
already.
So we'll see. We are loading up into the map, ladies and gentlemen, for the first game of this best of 7. It is going to be one for the books. Let's throw it over to our esteemed TriCast, the We Bear Bros.
Rock hard, Brigida, thank you so much. An amazing pre-show, an amazing opening, and it's electrifying here in the FPL Filipino Arena. It's Season 16's Grand Finals. It is us, the We Bear Bros, Nice Leo and Redmar, to take you guys through, hopefully, 7 games.
Ooh, 7-game Grand Finals, and we're in for a surprise. Light gets his Franco back. Liquid did everything they could to deny UA heroes in the second phase of the banning by taking away Sicilian and Ovaria, but he still ends up with a really great pick in the Farsa. Franco and Farsa together in the center of the map, but we're starting to see here again, with more Eves, we're getting reminded why Eves is such a nuisance now in this current metagame. Once she starts getting cooldown items on her, bro, she's gonna deal damage really quickly. In terms of the emblems, nothing too crazy, still pretty much run-of-the-mill.
The reputation on Light's Franco rings true even in Season 16. Undefeated going into this game. So you know that even if the drafts kind of regressed to a pre-Project Next status, everything that we've learned through the playoffs rings true.
It's really interesting to have this specific draft for Game 1. I think the draft alone, no matter how many games we get, we're going to go through its own evolution. You know, we've seen very different shades of the meta already because of the way that Project Nest came smack dab in the middle of the season, that I think from draft up game to game, we'll see that shades of the different meta. Because, I mean, when was the last time, you saw the Eve and even the Terizla pop up for any of the games through the playoffs?
Yeah, typical rapid boots rush there for the Franco. You mentioned the Terizla. Team Liquid Philippines just decided to build a wall of beefy bodies because they know that Aurora loves to play a very tight formation, especially around UA, having an artillery mage and then Dominkite having a Granger as well. So Liquid is going to look to stampede. If not in terms of the rotations, then in terms of just winning the team fights through sheer brute force. You'll have to watch Sanford and Edwards' timings here and which team can help which EXP laner better.
Turtle now at half health. Carl TD rolling Demon Kite out of that pit. RWM the answer. Sanji catches a good amount of salvos. Sanford draws first blood on Demon Kite. Turtle gets reset. Yue chasing Sanji. A shield on this Eve. Not going to save him from Yue. And Yue's way behind enemy lines. How's he going to survive? Like it's the flicker back. Surfing it up to Demon Kite. He is ready. And in comes Kiel. Serving up a kill for the cavalry.
And look, Yue still alive. Is he going to be able to escape this? He has wings by wings.
He's trying.
Yue.
No way.
Very low. No one gets him. He survives.
A big overcommittal there by Tlph. Aurora will get this turtle.
Okay. Talk about a fight for the first objective of the game. And they went back and forth. They traded for kills, but ultimately that objective goes in the hands of Demon Kite, and so they get that. Again, they're holding on to this very minor lead for Tlph. You saw the stats there, by the way. The win rate between a classic gold lane matchup that we see in terms of the heroes, the Granger versus the Harith. Interestingly enough, that Tlph got that Harith too, because we all know, we've been talking about it all season, Doman Kite is probably the best Harith in the season.
Oh yeah. Definitely the best record, best performance, rarely loses lane. Now he has his hands on a Granger who decided to rush a Hunter Strike. Nothing too greedy, not going for the Sky Piercer rush. Of course he's going to be second building that, but a different flavor. AOG
coming in, Daddy JP, Salmon Force, Bioheb, Light in the middle of it all, real world manipulation, the answer, keep it, the homecoming hero down, Light bites it.
Great use of the real world manipulation. No more Salmon Force here. Here comes the clap back by Aurora.
Then an airstrike coming through. Several salvos caught in by the patriarch of the cavalry. No dice.
They did get the revitalization out from JP. Part of this too. Hold on. XP laner is going to be duking it out. Sanford should be able to get away.
Edward really stretching the limits of the body of Smith at level 6. Both XP laners just back off.
Yeah, and you see there, one of the secret matchups that you can pair up against a Lapu Lapu, if you have a good team building around it, pick up the Turizla. Yes, initially, once you bring out the Raging Slashes through the Bravest Fighter, once that's gone, the damage of the Turizla actually just sort of evens out the battle. So it's a bit of a dead lane. We're waiting to see which team's going to be rotating towards the EXP lane more. But I think they're going to be okay with just leaving it as it is, because both of them can manage well. They're just looking to outplay in terms of the objectives. Hopefully Team Liquid Philippines doesn't do the same thing as they did in the previous fight, which was take the fight right at the very edge of the RWM. What a hook!
JP standing his ground. He knows that there's very little follow-through.
All right, Hook's going to land here. They're in position. We got to watch out where Sanji decides to set up this RWM, but they're just going to blitz the turtle.
Liquid denying rollout response. An AOG called back. They will have to wait, and oh my god, the damage from Liquid! Edward and Demon Kite gone immediately.
You just got dudes jumping all over the place. The cavalry has evolved. They have wings.
Big, beefy boys slapping meat. That's it. That's what we're talking about. Just brute force, throw bodies, burst damage, play around the RWM, and it looks like Aurora aren't completely ready for this type of Liquid lineup. They're used to having Sanford a little bit more, like a lot of technicalities with his EXP laners. This time, it's simple. Flicker and use the penalty zone.
It's a tale as old as time. Fundamental MOBA tactics. Dive comp versus poke comp. The poke isn't ready yet, so Liquid take advantage.
Yeah, actually you said the best. The poke isn't ready yet, but when things even out, that's when Liquid need to slow things down just a little bit, because if they're not careful, Aurora have a fantastic counter-punish lineup once they have their items locked in for the Farsa and the Granger. Hell, we're already starting to see teases of it. The fights of Liquid are getting expensive. They have to commit a lot to get a big win.
It's interesting how it's happening too, because it's a different kind of pressure from Tlph because of the fact that they have a penalty zone paired up with a Flicker, and then you have JP jumping in as well with the AOG. So for Aurora, I'm trying to adjust to this, trying to go ahead and not, because you got to think about how much ground can be covered by that for Tlph. That's the problem that Aurora has to deal with. So I'm almost thinking best thing they can do is if they're able to get a pick off from Light, take out at least one member from Tlph. That should give them some of the advantage. I think the hard part too is for Yue and Doman Kite to actually utilize the space they have. Oh no.
All right, that's 2-on-1. Sanford eating quite a bit from this duel from Aurora. Edward and Yue lay down a smackdown on 40, sending him home.
Okay, Team Liquid Philippines need to find the position again for this turtle. It looks like it'll be an advantage for them, but Aurora, they are healthy enough to fight into this. Waiting for the feathered airstrike of the Farsa to come back. Doman Kite now has a Sky Piercer, so Liquid has to be careful, because a big turn by Aurora will hurt.
Okay, they're going to start up half health on this last turtle of the game. Demon Kite and Carl facing off. There they go.
Edward into 4. JP intersecting Demon Kite. Can Edward get out of here? Feathered airstrike. Do it. Backing off. Summon force by Olheb. Edward already down. Demon Kite follows quickly. Aurora can't find nothing.
JP with the zone. Perfectly timed so that Demon Kite wouldn't even get in range. He didn't get to use the retribution there. Tlph, very easy for him despite the entry for Edward. Again, this is why we wanted to point out the importance of the timing of the entry between the two EXP laners. But there's also a Gatotkacha for the side of Liquid.
Liquid walked away with so much. They took the turtle, went the threat mid. Tlph drives by Grand Theft Orange. 4,000 gold up. This is looking like a stampede.
All of it's distributed pretty much evenly across the lane too. Except for that gold lane, man. The gold lane difference right now, I think, is really playing into the stats that we mentioned earlier with the Harith versus Granger combo. And I would say, even when you see those fights break out, it's amazing because we don't see the Charizla that much.
Yeah.
You kind of forget how much damage he can take, especially with the passive that he has, that Body of Smith. He's able to go ahead and just take a ton of this damage, set things up for Tlph, and then that gives the free reign for Oheb and the likes to go ahead and solidify that team fight, especially around the RWM. Look at this, they're going to push him off the turret.
Demon Kite got 4 on him. 7 forced by Oheb. The bite down. The hook. Oheb only takes him down. It's a 2-man trade. 1-for-1. JP for DK. Light forced to use the freeze, and he still gets caught by Sanji. 2-for-1. Liquid wins it.
Oh my goodness. Team Liquid Philippines are still going for it. Doming? Wait, whoa.
Doming finds the Unite, and Doming Kite back it off. Still alive. Edward buying time for his gold laner. Not so sure if Edward's ready for this. Go ahead, another Salmon Force. Liquid holding on to this, pressuring the tier 2.
Really spicy there onto that tier 2 turret.
Yeah, the sheer amount of health and resources that Liquid has. If this game was a little bit closer, Aurora would have gotten an even bigger punish. But good thing they were able to balance things out with the light hook and flicker plus the bite. But Liquid are still sticking to their main idea, their main strategy. Play for the Harith, play around the Harith. And this time what they're doing much better now compared to their previous series up against Aurora earlier this playoffs was that they're marking the other points of entry. There's always at least 1 or 2 members of Team Liquid Philippines off to the side while the 3-man main fight is happening with the other members of Aurora.
And that's the problem here. Light, he's trying to land these hooks, but even if you blow someone, it's not a guaranteed kill. The skill's going to be used by JP. Lord's going to go for a little bit of a reset. Demon Kite's still up there with Carl. But look at the zoning. This is the potential we're talking about. JP's going to pop the revival.
Lord's very low. Sanford on the 2. Tlph secures the airstrike by Yue. This is a good position for that ult, but there's not enough space for Aurora to take advantage of that. Liquid win. Lord for free.
Again, Sanford and JP able to provide such a big front here.
Yeah, they have fantastic item builds here. Already full build the anti-Cuirass for the Charizla. While JP, I love that he went for Dreadnought armor, didn't full build that, and then went straight for the Athena shield. That's why he can just stand in front of Aurora right now and act as the secondary Charizla. While Sanford's also the secondary Gatotkacha. The interplay between the Roman EXP of Liquid is what's giving Aurora so much difficulty because they're both too tanky.
Yeah, this is what we were saying earlier, Yue is going to be a big part of that damage profile on the Farsa, and Doming Kite's going to have to get there on this Granger. And it's been solved by Tlph, at least for now. They still maintain this lead. They're going to have to set things up here, deal with this Lord that's pushing up on the top side. They'll most likely lose that tier 2 turret. But now for Aurora, what can they do here on the defense? What are they capable of turning around to get this game in their favor as they face down that 6K deficit?
Well, if they have the reach, this is a perfect defense comp that Aurora has. If Liquid decide to throw bodies and mess up, it's going to be dangerous. They force the flicker out of Doming Kite, so let's see if Liquid will force any issue. But the thing is, there's no minion waves at mid, but they might try to play through the Lord. The minion wave at bot not going to be enough, but nah, they can't risk it at this point. Again, they have the Farsa, the Granger, which is already up to a Malefic Roar, so they have to be careful.
Little Robo dump bottom. Doming Kite was fighting for his life. They will save this tier 2 in mid, but at 12 minutes, Holy Shields just retract anyways. Aurora does well to defend against that first Lord.
This is a bit tough too, because when you get to this point of the game, you're really thinking, Aurora, how do they turn it around? Might be it's that next Lord, but they have to figure out the puzzle here, man. The puzzle is Tlph's objective fighting. That box, literally the box they're able to set up with the RWM is, I feel like, problem number 2. Problem number 1 is getting past JP and Sanford, setting things up before they even get a chance to get in that range. So the job for Aurora is even more difficult. I mean, even Demon Kite can sit in front of that all day he wants, but if the rest of the team can't join him and he's zoned out, he's going to continue to die like he has.
Yeah, already up to the Magic Lantern after the glowing wand for that Eve. You see the Lapu Lapu and Fredrin both had to build Radiant Armors. Waiting on, I wouldn't be surprised if that'll also be a Radiant Armor for Light later on. Because right now, the magic damage brought out by the 3 heroes on the side of Liquid, the Eve, the Gatot, and the Harith, it's what's stopping Aurora from being able to fight comfortably. They played around the pick-off style roamer up against a roamer in the Gatot Gacha who can just stand, front, hold, use their Revitalize. That reapplies the pressure now to Demon Kite, which, again, needs time. But then he couldn't get that time because he also had to act as a secondary frontliner for the team. So it was a risk that Light ended up with Franco. Let's see if Aurora can somehow miraculously turn it around. See Halberd for Doming.
Here we go. They go ahead and pull out the Lord. Carl's going to show himself up here. I'm not sure if Aurora is going to be able to do anything.
The flicker in by Light, the bite down plus the winner's fortune. Sanji swiping away, down goes Demon Kite. Light goes as well, it's a little too much. That 7k gold lead. JP closing up the exit on Edward. Oh, Jinjing bites it. Triple kill for Edward. Liquid let go of the Lord to take care of that purple, but the cavalry continue to stomp forward.
That is economy dip at its finest. Showing they just have too many items, too much damage. Aurora will have to play through the defense in base, and this will be Liquid trying not to mess up winning this game. Forced out the flicker from Sanji though.
Yeah, you got to flicker out, but
I think that's worth it.
Yeah,
it's worth it away, but man, Sanji hasn't really had. Sanji has had a great game of just, I'm going to chill in the back, set up my RWM, and the rest of everybody else will go ahead and shine off of that. Again, they have had such a difficult time playing against that box.
Yeah. You see up to a Divine Glaive already for this Eve, and I'm wondering, why didn't you build the Divine Glaive Rush? They already felt this deficit very quickly. He still went for the Blood Wings. Yes, he's an important part of the lineup, but at this point, you're going to have to accept that you need that magic penetration right away to sort of smoothen things out a little bit more for your team.
Crazy thing about it, too, is Oheb's a big problem for Aurora. They've had no answer to it, and he's just been able to go Zombie Force all over the place. They're going to go ahead and push it into the space. Lord's going to march up. They drop the RWM.
AOG with the tail end of that RWM takes down Light. Demon Kite and Edward are holding the ground, but Liquid have already broken in. Lord here at an 1/8 of its health. Aurora just wailing away. Liquid happy with what they got. They're inside the base.
Yeah, good discipline. And good thing Team Liquid Philippines didn't force anything more. They're already happy with the kill onto Light, which now, again, reapplies even an insane amount of pressure on this Lapu Lapu and Fredrin. Liquid can continue this, though.
There they go. That is a middle from the back line. Sideline. Edward cannot stand right in front of Liquid. Sanford goes. JP gets the Immortality pop. Can he get out of here? Turret shots. AOG out. They save one body.
I feel like Tlph kind of messed that up. You know, they decided to go for the mid-turret, even with a lead. I think they're surprised, even with this economic lead, that they still got punished in that sense.
Yeah, a bit of an overheat. Again, one of the tendencies of Team Liquid Philippines, if they have a big lead, they're willing to take very risky fights, even when there's one last base turret that they have to go through the lane that they're trying to answer. Sanford committed the flicker penalty zone. Would have been great if the turret was gone. But Aurora also has really good wave clear at this point. Yes, there's a deficit, but they're beyond 40k plus. That means they can clear waves very quick. Team Liquid need to respect that, unless Aurora turn things around again very late into the game. Something we already saw from them earlier this playoffs.
Look at the sandwich.
Carlteasy rolling out, catches one. The AOG, that is JP, the flicker from Doming Kite, and of course a few salvos from Doming and you, and JP bites it. DK for the dad.
They went for a play. They scouted Aurora out, but still they only end up trading the 1-for-1. Lord's gonna come up here in a couple seconds though, so they'll make their way.
Yeah, but that's hella worth it because now it's about to spawn, and by the time the Lord goes down, Demon Kite wouldn't have even spawned yet because Liquid can blitz this comfortably.
They're gonna have to go ahead and secure this. Edward, Light, are they gonna try to delay this? I don't think they're gonna be able to do much off of this. Surprise, they're gonna face them down. Edward He'll just say hi to Tlph. They'll get back to base. Demonkite will be up for the defense. Ooh. And we'll see Tlph approach the base, trying to get the last 2 base turrets down, potentially ending the game.
Aurora stopped the bleeding.
Yep.
So this is comeback territory. We've seen him do it from 13,500 from the same damn team in the upper bracket finals.
Yeah, Liquid has this weird tendency in Season 16. I think only around a 30 or 40% win rate, somewhere around that realm when the game goes past 18 minutes. My challenge for Liquid is for them to end it here, lest Aurora turn things around again and start off this best of 7 with a massive turnaround win.
See if they can do it here. Lord approaching up top. Tlph knocking at the base doors here, bottom and mid. Demonkite sold his boots. He's got a winner's crown. He knows he's an integral part of the success on this defense. Lord's going to be worked on. Here's Tlph.
AOG, Aurora disperses. Lord now underneath turret range. Aurora takes care of it. Liquid move on to that mid lane. Sanji with the real relation. The hook by Light. JP gets that turret down. Less damage coming in. Down goes Sanji. Aurora collapse on the Liquid. Edward falls after he used that flicker. Aurora still in it.
Aurora defends. We said that they have great clear, they have great high ground defense. They only lost Edward, but they stay in the game.
Yeah, they're managing the minion waves very well. Every time Liquid want to get close to ending things, all of that just for one turret. So now they have to watch out for the fact that Demonkite went for the Winter Crown. He can buy and sell immortalities later on. Now there's a Divine Glaive and Magic Lantern for UA, which is why minion waves are getting cleared very fast alongside the fact that they have items already on this Granger. The Queen's Wings on that Lapu Lapu, they got that earlier, but the big item pickup, and which is why Liquid now have to be super careful, is that Demonkite doesn't care if he's the first target. He already has the Guardian Helmet. He buys so much time every time.
And looking at the KDAs on Edward and Demonkite, hell, you get lump up Light in there too. It's diminishing returns. These heroes haven't gotten kills, so Liquid in turn are getting less economy on the clapback, and we're approaching a point where economy rarely matters anymore. Yeah. So they can just keep throwing bodies too. Aurora have found a way to play Liquid's game.
What it's going to come down to is the objective fight here, and again, we're looking to see if Aurora can actually have the fight that they want. They've been leaning towards Light to go ahead and get the hook, you know, to make a play there.
Yep.
But they might just have to full on decide that we got to go ahead and contest against Tlph for this next Lord coming up in less than 30.
Yeah, I think the main line of communication now has to be San. It has to be Sanji and Sanford. When Sanji wants to drop down the real world manipulation, Sanford has to be ready to look for Yue. Because the reason why Sanji got taken out in the last siege was that he dropped down the RWM, initiated, but Yue was free to be able to help reach Sanji, and those extra feathered airstrikes and eventually the cleanup by Aurora was what took him down. So the Terizla and the Eve have to talk together, work together, and sync their ultimates so that Sanji will be safe, and even if Edward dives him, there won't be a clapback from Aurora.
Oh, here we go. Lord's up. It's evolved. Post the 20-minute mark here. Tlph still maintaining the lead that they have. They'll grab the buffs, give it over to Oheb as he grabs the purple and then the orange.
Oh, man.
Look at the positioning here, too, for Tlph. They know they don't have to rush this. They can play with some of the advantage that they have.
Yeah, sad sword for Demonkite, and that's bad news for Team Liquid Philippines. That BOD already locked in for him. Yikes, Athena's shield readjustment there through the Winter Crown. Aurora, they can contest this, and Liquid, hey, if they mess up, this is gonna hurt.
Yeah, they're gonna go for this. Oh, in trouble, there's the hook!
Hook on to JP, Light does not want to fight, and we see Edward backing off, not committing any ults just yet. Lord at an 1/8 of its health.
Oh, Demonkite's trying to get there, but he's trapped!
Sanji with a real manipulation, swiping left, swiping right. Oh, Light, as Demonkite goes down! The bite down by Light, canceled, and backing off, he uses Flicker, he goes down, Kiel gets another! 2 for none, the trade, in comes Edward, holding the line. Aurora does not like the situation they're in.
Oh, Sanji bought the immortality, JP as well! They juggle around, and now it's only 2 on the defense!
No Lord taken, but they're already inside the base, down goes Yue! There's minions for Liquid, the cavalry start off strong, 1-0!
JP found Demonkite. The AOG, the taunt, it delayed the damage output of Aurora just enough for Liquid and Oheb to pop off and win.
A showcase of great skill here by both, but Tlph coming out stronger in game 1. And a phenomenal game for Oheb. 12-0-6, I think he was on the Harris. Let's throw it over.